Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 338 for December the 23rd, 2025. And as my good friend Russ at Quilts Meet World mentioned yesterday, there's only two sleeps till Christmas Day. Yeah. So let's take a look at what I have been creating. And here it is. This is the Holland duffel bag. This is I purchased the pattern for this, but I saw several people making it online and I really liked it, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it is all done, and I've already shown this before, but this is version 1, and some things I want to point out about what I did wrong on this bag. First of all, I got this wise idea that I would quilt the main panels for the bag on my embroidery machine. And I did do that. And if you look down near the bottom in the second half of the bag, on either side of that pocket, you can see some of the quilting. Well, it's more embroidery than quilting. It was a quilting design, but it was a very detailed one. And my placement of it, I really didn't think about the fact that that panel that I was doing this on, which took quite a while actually, when it gets all folded and sewn up, you might miss certain spots, like the whole top on here. I was only doing the quilting more or less not so you'd see a design, but to give it texture. On the pockets, I did do a little bit of quilting, but again, didn't have it really placed quite right. So I chopped off a little bit of the design, but I mean, does that matter? Not really, but it matters to me. The rest of the bag, it turned out fine, actually. It was an easy bag to make. The instructions are pretty clear, and here you can see the zipper I used in the top is a rainbow zipper I had in my stash of things, and I really like that. I think it goes well with the colors of the fabric that I used here. And I decided not to make handles. The instructions gave you several options. One of the options is, of course, to do it in the traditional way where you take a strip of fabric, fold it in on itself, and put some batting inside of it and fold it over, stitch it down, and bang, you've got handles, which is great because you can do that in the same fabric or a complementary fabric that your bag is going to be in. But I decided not to. I have a lot of this webbing, and I had this blue webbing, which I think would work well, and it does work well. And it eliminates a step in the whole process. So that's not a mistake. That's just a design choice that I made. Now, I don't think I have a picture of the bottom of the bag. I don't. This is the other side. It has a slip pocket. Now, you could, let's go back here. You could put a zip pocket on both sides if you so desired. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But I went with the instructions that said, one side's a slip pocket, one side's a zipper pocket, and did that. And you can see again here, my embroidery, my quilting is not quite placed properly. And on the back side of the bag, you can see all the rest of the quilting, okay, that I did. So yeah, it depends on what side of the bag you want to consider as the front and what side you may consider as the back. But either way, it's not even. So I decided that I would make a second one and improve on it. And so I did. And here's the second one. Now, this is Tula Pink fabric I had in my stash. So now I figured out a thing to do with my Tula Pink, but Adam and Adam Sews uses Tula Pink for bags and projects all the time, and his are great. I used the rainbow zipper in the side pocket here. I probably have that zipper in upside down. Not that it matters that much, but generally speaking, zippers kind of go from right to left. Wait, what's my left? No, from left to right, and this one's going from right to left. It's not a big thing. You can see here, though, the handles. I did the handles totally different. I did these as an encased webbing. So basically, I made a tube out of the fabric. That was a bitch, getting it turned back the other way because, well, I had to use a safety pin. Okay. So only safety pins I had were the curved type, that the little curve if you're doing basting, pin basting to a quilt. So when I got the tube turned out the right way, I had to thread the webbing into it and the inside, because there is webbing in the inside. It makes them really strong, actually, when you do it this way. And so I'm threading it along, and then the stupid pin opened up inside. And then, of course, it's poking out through the fabric. Well, I had to pull out that webbing, which was a bitch at that point to get up in there because there's not a lot of room to maneuver. So I pulled that out, and I did it again. I did it about 3 more times. And finally, I gave up on the pin idea. And yes, I know I should have used what they call a bodkin. And I thought I had a bodkin somewhere around here, or used a purple thing. There's something ironic about the purple thing. If you've seen our unboxing of the Missouri Star quilt box, well, one of the items that was in there was a purple thing. I think it was in the Missouri Star box. Yeah. And I said that I already had a bunch of those and I didn't use them and I didn't need it, and I gave it to Walter. Well, guess what? I couldn't find any of the other ones that I had. I probably gave them away or threw them out, one or the other. And so I didn't have a purple thing. What I ended up doing, and you'll laugh at this, is I had a pair of straight tweezers that were relatively long. I put the open end of the tweezers over on the end of the webbing. I took several pieces of Scotch tape and wound it around that, and then I fed that through the tube, and that worked. That worked. But for something that's relatively simple, it took me probably over an hour to get my strap handles made. So that wasn't a good start to this bag. Another problem I had with the bag, well, before I talk about another problem I had with the bag, another thing that I did do on this bag, which I like better, although you really can't see it all that well, is I did quilting on it, but I did it on my domestic sewing machine, and I just did a grid on it. And I used a color of thread that's very close to the color of thread or color of the fabric on the outside of it. And I did the same with the pockets. So you can't really in this picture see the quilting. You can up here a little bit on the top, but really the quilting on these bags anyways, I mean, this fabric's already pretty busy on its own, so I don't think it needs any other enhancement. But it also gives it strength, a little bit more strength. Now, I don't use a foam like Soft and Stable in this, mainly because I didn't have any. I used a fleece, a fusible fleece. No, did I use a fusible? Yeah, it's kind of a fusible fleece. It's a little thicker, and that seems to give the bag just enough body to allow it to stand up as you see, but at the same time, if you want to collapse it or whatever for storage purposes, it will do that without any problem. Now on the pockets, I did the pockets the same way. My embroidery still got cut off a little bit, but not as much, and I'm using these leaves. And I'm kind of doing a Canadian theme here a little bit with the maple leaves in various colors, but I do have a 3D printed one as a bag fob off the zipper of this right here. Now, if we go to this picture, you see the side, there's another bag fob. I had to put my signature gnome kind of thing, but this gnome has a sort of a stylized maple leaf on him. And I think the bag fob idea adds a little dimension to your bag. Now, I did make a mistake, but I think I covered up the mistake pretty good. In the handle, when the handles were attached and the bag was turned inside out and I was cutting the corners to box the corners, somehow the handle slid out inside. I didn't realize this, and when I cut the corners, I cut the handle. And I cut it in such a way that I took a chunk out of it. And I thought, crap, now what am I going to do? Because the handles at this point are already sewn on, and you can see the design of the handles they go all the way around the bag and across the bottom, etc. So at that point, there was no way that I was going to be able to take the handles off. Now I thought, well, I'll just join the two cut ends that are left together. But that gave me a problem. When it made one handle shorter than the other handle, and also you had raw edges. So I had the piece that got cut out, and in order to keep the handles pretty much the same length, I sewed that piece to the cutaway part of the handle. Am I making myself clear? I joined them, put it that way. Okay, so I had two stitch lines, and they were raw edges. So I thought, okay, let's be clever. Let's use the color of thread that I've been using on the bag that matches, this greeny color, sort of. And I'll just do a zigzag across. Well, I didn't change the thread in my bobbin, so on the underneath side of the handle, it looks like a mess. And it didn't work out that well because I used a black webbing in these handles, and it was kind of poking out. And I went over it several times with the zigzag stitch, a very close zigzag stitch, almost a satin stitch, and it still looked like crap. So I thought, well, let's make it into a customization. Let's make it into an embellishment. So I took some of the fabric I used in the pockets, and I cut a strip, and I cut a big enough strip that I could on all the edges of that piece. I folded them in about 1/8 of an inch and stitched them down. Excuse me. Stitched them down. Then I wrapped it around the join part of the handle, and using the same color thread as that little piece of fabric that I cut, I stitched it down and all the way around. And then I added a few lines of what looks like quilting, some straight line. And because I used a thread color that's very close to the color of the fabric, you really can't see it. But I still thought it looked a little plain, and I thought, well, you're in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's make this a bold element. So I found 3 buttons and stitched them down onto that part. And you want to know something? I think it adds something to the bag. It's a little added surprise here, a little bit of an embellishment. So, there are ways to get around some of your mistakes. So this bag's all done. This is the Holland duffel bag, my version 2.0. Yeah. I did debate on whether to make a third one, but no, I think I've got this down pat now. I know how this is made. I have 2 of them. So I'm going to move on to my next bag project, which I'm going to show you in a minute or two. But let's take a look at announcements and things like that. So Sewing with Stephen is canceled for this Wednesday and next Wednesday because it's Christmas and because I am doing the Christmas Eve, Stephen and Walter's Christmas Eve social. You're invited to that if you're free and you wish to, be around some other people and share a little Christmas cheer. Bring a snack, bring a beverage of your choice. If there's something you would like to show off to us, whether it is a sewn item or maybe you've got a memorable Christmas ornament or something, and we'll share some memories of Christmas past as well, to get us in the mood for the next day, for Christmas Day. So that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to run for about 2 hours until around 9 o'clock. So everybody is welcome, and the link to that is in the show notes below. It is a Zoom. So no sewing with Stephen this Wednesday, nor will there be any sewing with Stephen next Wednesday, because next Wednesday is Christmas Eve. And we don't have any plans for Christmas Eve, but you might. And I'm doing a pop-up sew day the next day on Christmas Day, January 1st. Start the new year with us. We'll have a pop-up sew day on New Year's Day. The link for that will be in the show notes next week, and I will send it out as an email to those on my mailing list as well. We'll start as all pop-up sew days do, at about 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't anticipate being hungover from New Year's Eve. In fact, I'll be lucky if I can stay up until midnight on New Year's Eve. Probably won't, but whatever. That's what happens when you get old. But anyways, so yeah, so we'll have the pop-up sew day. It'll start at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and go until about 4 in the afternoon, my time, Eastern Time. And bring whatever you've got that you want to work on and enjoy the day, because, there's really not a lot of things open on New Year's Day, at least not in my area, and in Canada in general. So, what better way to spend the first day of the new year than, working on a project, sewing, having fun, talking to other people, sharing our Christmas stories from, what our Christmas was like and things like that. So, yeah. So, as I said, link will be in the show notes next week for all my videos that go up next week. Now, I've been debating on this and I've made a decision. No Sew Chatty this Friday. We always do it on Fridays, but we usually prep it the day before or record it the day before. We just don't have time. And also the day before is Christmas Day. Yeah, Thursday. So we're going to be busy entertaining our families here. As you know, we've got like 14 people here for dinner. So yeah, and I really couldn't think of a topic that would not take a lot of preparation. So we're just going to forego it. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll be back the following week. And the following week, well, what are we going to talk about? I don't know yet. Haven't figured that out. But we'll see what we have. But no Sew Chatty this coming Friday. Okay, so what else? I've talked about the Christmas Eve social. I've talked about Pop-Up Sew Day. You will find in the show notes days 1 to 20 of the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas Box unboxing. All of the links for each one of those is there. So, if you haven't been watching them or you haven't had time, maybe on Boxing Day, that would be a good day. Now, we have Boxing Day in Canada. I don't think you have Boxing Day in the United States, or I think England has it, but I'm not sure if they have it anywhere else in the world. But that's always a kind of a slow day too, unless stores are having big sales, and some used to. I don't know. Sales aren't what they used to be anymore. Well, you can watch our unboxing and entertain yourself for a while. Put your feet up, have another cup of leftover Christmas cheer, and enjoy that. So the links for all of those are in the show notes below. And on Christmas Day, the last of the unboxings, days 21 to 25, will go live on Christmas morning. So join Walter and I on Christmas morning. We won't be live, but you can join us then for the final unboxing, as if you didn't have anything else to do on Christmas Day. Yeah. Okay. So last week on So Chatty, we did do Quilting the Next Generation. And right now I have a tentative working title for the next time we do So Chatty, which will not be this week coming, but maybe, will it be the next week? Yeah, that will be January the 2nd. We'll see. And that, I've got a tentative title called Aftermath of Christmas, Quilting Christmas Gifts. Disappointed? Don't know. Maybe. That might be the topic. Okay, let's move right into Subscribers Quilt of the Week. And this beautiful creation comes from Mary Bremer. I hope I've said her name correctly. Sorry, Mary, if I didn't. And here's what she sent to share with us. This week's Subscribers Quilt comes from Mary Bremer. I hope I said Mary's last name correctly. And she shows us this lovely red work creation and writes this: "My husband and I love your channel and look forward to watching you and Walter from Virginia. Our quilt to share is one I hand embroidered, and we quilt it with a dog bone pattern on our long arm. We wish you the happy holidays." Okay, well, Mary, this is really nice. And I am not, and I'll be very honest about this, a fan of red work. But seeing this and the way you've put it together in this quilt, I think it's really lovely. So maybe I'll change my mind about red work. But I love the inner border that goes all the way around the squares with the embroidered red work dogs. I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but I don't think you did, whether or not this is hand work or this is machine embroidery. I suspect that might be hand embroidery. You'll have to let me know about that. But I think the whole thing is lovely, and I love the binding because the binding really frames it really nicely with black on red. So thank you, Mary, for sharing your lovely creation with us. I look forward to seeing more of your work in the future. And so that takes me to YouTube of the week. But before I get to that, just a reminder, New Year coming, and I need some things to show. So if you've got a creation you've made whenever that you're really proud of and would like other people to see, please send me one picture only, please. Um, and 50 50 words or less, little blurb about that creation, and I'll be happy to feature it here on the Idiot Quilter. Okay, YouTube of the week. Speaking of sewing, some of you may have seen this. It's not easy to get this because it's a British series, and it's called The Great British Sewing Bee. There are excerpts from it all over YouTube, but somebody put me on to a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called Elisabeth, okay? And she has scoured the universe for all the episodes of the latest season of The Great British Sewing Bee, and she posted them all up on YouTube. And she does like to mention how hard it was to get those, and she's kind of begging you for some money, buy her a coffee thing, that app that's on there. And yeah, it probably did take her a lot of time, but she must have wanted to do it, or why would she have done it? But anyways, I appreciated that. So we were watching it, and we got to the 5th episode, and we got this warning that said that this content had been blocked due to copyright. I tried to get around that, and I had no luck. So you can see at least 5 of the episodes on YouTube, unless the rest of them have been blocked too. I haven't checked yet, so if they are, sorry that I've given you false hope here. But here's my review. The YouTube video of the week is actually a video site on YouTube, and it's called Elisabeth. And I believe that's the name of the lady who puts this up. And she's done some extensive searching to find all the episodes of The Great British Sewing Bee Season 11, which I believe is the most recent season, I think. Now, we used to watch this when we could get it on our TV. On some of the stations that we subscribe to, but we haven't been able to do that for quite some time, and I really miss it. Although this is not about quilting as much as it is about garment sewing, it's just really fascinating looking at the creativity, the talent, and the inspiration from the contestants in this competition. I really like it a lot, and so does Walter, and sometimes Walter likes to criticize what he sees being sewn on The Great British Sewing Bee from his own experience as a sewist. So if you're looking for something that's inspiring and also entertaining and has to do with sewing, then you're going to want to go to this particular YouTube channel, Elisabeth, and look in the playlist section for The Great British Sewing Bee Season 11. Okay, some bad news about that link to The Great British Sewing Bee. It's not available anymore. You know how I mentioned the fact that it has violated copyright? Well, I just went to the link that I do have in my show notes below and checked on it, and all those episodes are gone. So this person that put them up on YouTube took everything down, which is unfortunate because it was really good. I am still exploring other ways to be able to watch it. But in the meantime, I'm leaving the link there because she does have some other shows that are from the BBC, like the Great British Bake Off Season 16 is there. Well, at least one episode of it. But I think she got kind of discouraged because yeah, there's not a lot on that site. So sorry about that. I don't think I've ever done that to you before, but yeah, at the time of recording this, it was too late for me to do much about changing it. So sorry. It was really good while I could see it. Yeah. Okay, so that takes me to future projects. And of course, in the title, I says it's bags galore. So, and 2026 is going to be my year of the bag, I have decided. So I'm moving on from the Holland bag, and I'm moving to a project bag called the Amethyst project bag by Sew Sweetness. And this is a free downloadable pattern. But here's what I'm talking about. This is my next project. This week's future project is a bag project because you know this is going to be this coming year, the year of the bag making for me. And I saw this one and I purchased the pattern for it from by So Sweetness, and it's called the Amethyst Project Bag. And I really like its design, and it looks like it'd be very, very useful. Yes, it looks like it might be a bit of a challenge, but I have made a bag like this before years ago by Bags by Annie. Well, it was the Keep Everything in Control bag or something like that, which is not quite like this. But this, on the other hand, I think, yeah, although it presents a challenge, I think it would be very, very fun to make. And they even include on their site and on YouTube a tutorial. So I think that's really good. At least I think this is what they're showing here is a tutorial. I haven't really clicked on it yet to see. It's a trailer. Oh, they talk about it being a trailer. Online workshop is 2 hours and 11 minutes long. So maybe if you purchase the pattern, you get to see this. I'll have to investigate that further. But either way, I do have the pattern. And I think after I'm finished working on the Holland bag that I talked about last week, that I'll start working on the Amethyst project bag. So yeah, and there's a link for this pattern in the show notes below. And you will find a link for that pattern in the show notes. And as I said, it's free, and they have a lot of free bag patterns, and you'll be hearing about more of them in the next few weeks. Now, I've never done a So Sweetness pattern, so hopefully they are well written. We'll soon find out. Okay, so that takes me to what's twisting my seams? Nothing. I haven't had anybody send me anything, so I think I'm going to get rid of this segment. Yeah, obviously it doesn't have a wide appeal, which is fine. You never know until you try these things. And yeah, I'm just going to eliminate that segment from future episodes and this episode of the Idiot Quilter. So that takes me to what I'm working on. Well, lots of things as per usual as I get ready for Christmas. So here's my video this week of what I did in the past week. So what have I been working on? Well, I've started early on my New Year plans. My New Year plans were to do more bag making, and I've already got started into this, and you've already seen the Holland bag. But over here on my cutting mat, you can see I've got pieces for a second one, and this second bag is going to be made with Tula Pink fabrics. And I'm adding some embellishments to this. I'm doing some embroidery for the pockets, and I've 3D printed some what I'm going to call bag fobs, and I may even put a tag or two in. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I think I need to design on my embroidery machine my own little tag that I can sew into these bags. So I have this mess all sitting here. Of course, behind me on my design wall, I still have Sunny in the sunflowers, and underneath that the orphan block quilt. I got to get on with those on Lucy and get them all quilted up. As far as 3D printing is concerned, well, you saw that I was making bag fobs. I got to explore the possibilities of making more embellishments with that, but right now my machines are all quiet. What other things do I have? Well, I really need to go through all of my cupboards and drawers and do some cleaning out. I've got a lot of junk in there that I don't need, and to be honest, I need the space. These cupboards are full of fabrics, basically end pieces from wide backs and things like that, and I really need to spend probably 2 days doing a major, cleaning out, purging, reorganizing, that kind of thing here in my sewing room. So that's all I've been up to right now because, like everybody else, busy getting ready for Christmas Day and for the family coming here. And you've heard me talk about that before, so stay tuned. Who knows what the new year brings? So that takes me to my review of an online quilt store, and this one is called Dominion Sewing. This week's online quilt store comes all the way from Sudbury, Ontario, and it's called Dominion Sewing. And so this is their front page, and we see we have a lot of information here. They do have a brick and mortar store, and they have all of their winter store hours listed here as well. And over in the left-hand side, they have their categories. They have sewing machines, notions, accessories, fabric, furniture and organization, parts, sale, classes, retreats, and blocks of the month. And then they list all their various brands of things. They do sell Aurifil, they sell Baby Lock, Janome. They've got a lot of things here, so I'm really looking forward to looking into this a little deeper. They do have free shipping over $200, and it says deliveries in 2 to 4 days. And they also give one-on-one machine lessons, so they really look like they're a real going concern. So let's check out what their online store is like, and let's jump right into fabric. And here we have a category, or an index. We've got pre-cuts, holiday and seasonal, flannel, minky. And then you can shop by color, theme, shop collection, shop panel, shop wide backing, solids, blenders, material type, quilt kits, brand, fabric, care, canvas, and indigenous. So really a very extensive list. So let's jump right into, well, let's check out pre-cuts. So pull this down. They've got layer cakes, charm packs, half-meter bundles, fat quarter bundles, jelly rolls, and honey buns. And I am sort of impressed right now by the way they have organized things. Looks like a really easy way to find what you're looking for. So let's check out charm packs. And they only have 2 to offer, and they are Kona Cotton, Overcast Charm Pack, and Neutrals palette. So basically they're just Kona, but you'd expect Kona ones to be pretty much just your solids or blenders. Layer cakes, we have a little bit more of a selection in layer cakes. Price wise, this is what you could, which is about average, what you'd expect to pay. Not a great selection in layer cakes. Half-meter bundles, nothing there. Fat quarter bundles, okay, we've got a few things to choose from here. And price wise, looks like they average about $5 to $6 per fat quarter, so that's about the going rate. But they do seem to have quite a bit to choose from in the fat quarters as well, much more so than in the other pre-cuts. Jelly rolls, and jelly rolls price wise, again, what you'd expect, but a good selection of jelly rolls too. So I am fairly impressed by that. They have something called honey buns, and this is only one. Yep, maybe room for future expansion. Okay, let's look at shop holiday and seasonal. Christmas and winter. Okay, what do we have to choose from here? Not a bad selection. Oh, lots of selection actually, pages and pages, but price seems to be about $12.99, and I would imagine that's a half meter. Let's take a look. Do they tell us? Yes, it is sold by the half meter. So yeah, pricey. It's about $25 a meter. Now, mind you, this is seasonal. So I don't know if that price is the same for things that aren't seasonal. Let's check it out, because that's high. Even for seasonal, that's high. So let's see. Let's shop by collections. Not a lot of, let's check out Stonehenge. Okay, Stonehenge surface. Now, that's is a more reasonable price. This is about $20 a meter. They're showing half meter price. These are more your blenders. So you'd expect those to be a little less than, say, printed. But let's look at Arctic Tail. Okay, 11. So that's about $23 a meter. So yes, they are a little bit on the high side for their fabrics. Not a wonderful selection of, this is Chroma. I love Chroma. It's a good price. but really not the greatest selection in collections. Strokes of the Wild collection. Yeah, many of these would serve better as blenders, I would think, rather than prints. Let's see, what else? Do they have them in something else? Well, they do have a section on just blenders, so I guess they consider those their prints, and they're expensive because we're talking here almost $25 a meter for blenders. So yeah, this store is on the high side. Canvas, I like canvas. Oh, oops, I must have hit the... Okay, something's happening here. I clicked on canvas, but I'm getting what looks more like indigenous, and that's below. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening there. There's a problem with canvas and indigenous. Let's just go back to the canvas for a minute and just go down further. Well, they do have a couple of canvas, but most of this is indigenous under that section. So there's a problem there. I do like indigenous fabrics though, and they're about $23 a meter. The panels are a little more expensive. I love these panels. I think they're gorgeous, but I've already got one, haven't done anything with it yet, so we're holding back off on that. Yeah, so yeah, their fabric is on the high end in the price. And I get it, because fabric prices are changing all the time right now. So I'm not going to hold that against them. I do like the fact, though, that they have not a bad selection of indigenous fabrics. All right, now I did see they also have flannel. I'm not really into flannel, but their price on flannel looks like it's around $20 to $21 a meter, depending. Some is a little bit more expensive than that. Let's look at wide backing. And 2150. Ooh, that can't be. Is that just for a half meter? That's got to be a meter. Let's see. No, that's half a meter. Whoa. For that, that's way out there in price. Not impressed by that whatsoever. And I'm not really impressed by their selection either. They have 2 pages of it, but that's a lot. If that's half a 2150. Well, some of it's cheaper. Some of it's 1250, even as low as that's flannel though. Yeah, so it seems to vary between about $25 a meter up to as much as $43 a meter. But there's a range of this. Yeah, but most of it's higher end. And their selection, it's not bad. It's not bad. It is hard to find a really great selection of reasonably priced wide back these days. Okay, they do sell solids. Oh, price on solids is not bad. What's that? About $12 a meter. So that's okay. So really, as far as their pricing is concerned, it depends on what it is that you're going to buy. Solids, reasonable, but wide back, unreasonable, really. They do have panels, if you're into panels, and not a bad selection of panels, 3 pages of them, so maybe something there for some people. Anything else we can look at in terms of fabric? Well, they do have Minky and Cuddle. I won't touch Minky or Cuddle. Don't like it. Don't like all the fuzz. And it's pricey. Yeah, $17.99, $16.99 for half a meter. No, sorry. It's 60 inches wide. Well, it is 60 inches wide, though, so it's a little wider. But it's a half meter. So that's still, I think, you know, for a meter, you're talking $35. So, but Minky does tend to be a little bit pricier. So, you know, I don't buy it, so I'm not really a good judge of that. All right, let's see. They do sell notions and accessories, probably the usual kind of thing. Oh, batting is in here, but it's bagged batting. I don't know if they sell batting by the roll. Do they have something on here? Here's batting here. Okay. This is all pre-bagged, pre-cut batting. They do have something called light fusible batting. This looks like it's sold by the meter. But yeah, so they don't really sell it by the meter for the most part. They sell it in packages and, well, cotton blend, 80/20. I guess that price isn't bad. Yeah. Okay. So what else was I looking at? I'm into all these notions. They has Quilt as you go kits, books and patterns, thread organizers, storage, needles, oil. They have a lot of things. They're kind of one-stop shopping. Just out of curiosity, quilting clips, because I am needing to get more Wonder clips. 26, yeah, Wonder clips are expensive, but that's the usual thing with Wonder clips. If you get original Wonder clips, they do tend to be on the expensive side anywhere. Okay, and then they have all your usual stuff. Now, something that I was curious about looking into is their thread, because I saw Aurifil listed somewhere. And let's go back to fabric. I did see Aurifil listed somewhere in here, I thought. Huh, that might have been on the front page. There, Aurifil, yes. $18.99 for Aurifil. That's about the standard price right now. So, yeah, that's okay. And good selection, it looks like, of colors in Aurifil. I only use about 2 colors in Aurifil. But, you know, other people, if you're garment sewing, you probably use a variety of colors. So, sewing machines. Sewing electronic, machine basic, embroidery machine. So over here, it looks like they sell Baby Lock and they sell Janome. And looks like they have a good selection of machines. Again, I would never buy a machine online. I would want to go into the store and look at them. And it's something I don't have to worry about because I have a local Janome dealer. But it's good to know they have that, and it looks like they have long arm quilting, so they have things for your long arm machines. As I said, it looks like it's basically a one-stop shopping for everything. They even have sewing furniture, and it looks like, yes, they sell, I believe these are Arrow because that's this chair that I have. Do they tell you? Hydraulic sewing chair, good dog. Oh, that's the Janome one, but they're actually made by Arrow, I believe. Just a tip, if you're going to buy one of these sewing chairs, they're great. I love my sewing machine chair, but the fabric that has the patterns on it doesn't wear well. And I replaced that, and actually the company replaced it for me when I wrote to them, which was excellent. And I replaced it with a heavier fabric that is also available. I know we are all attracted to, you know, these designs, but it wears on the front very quickly. Just saying, little tip. Okay, what else do they have? They have sewing tables with an insert cut into them. Yeah, so if you're looking for furniture, again, this is something I'd like to see before ordering it online. They have cabinets, tables, extension tables. Yeah, only 2 extension tables, and they're very brand specific, of course. Lights. Yeah. Okay, and they do have something called sale. So these are fabrics, I guess, that are on sale. At 14, 15, 30. Wait, that's a sale price? That's a panel. Okay, that's a panel. All right, that's, I was thinking that that might have been the price of it by meter for this, but no. Um, yeah, a few things. They got quite a few things on sale, 5 pages of them. So, a lot to choose from. Anything else we can look at? Shipping. Let's take a look at shipping, maybe at the bottom of their page. Shipping and returns. Here we go. Love it when they've got a section for that. They provide free shipping on Canadian orders over $200. Any other orders will be subject to a $22.50 shipping fee. Okay. And I am assuming they're not shipping to the United States for good reasons. And I'm assuming they ship by Canada Post, although I'm not seeing as I look at this quickly. It doesn't say, but I would imagine it's by Canada Post. $22.50 for shipping? That's really not bad. And since they do offer free shipping over $200, it wouldn't take you long to get over $200. So, okay, I don't think there's anything else more. Do they have quilt kits? I don't know. Didn't really see, it might be under fabric. Minky theme panels. Yes, they do. They have quilt kits as well. And there you go. They have a selection. Fairly extensive selection, 2 pages of it too. So, okay. Well, as far as Dominion Sewing is concerned, I like the layout of their actual website. I think it's very user-friendly. Their prices are a little bit on the high side, I think. Selection is okay. And yeah, they're a one-stop shopping experience, I think, because if you need parts for your sewing machines or you need a lot of notions or whatever, thread, they've got it all, including long arming services. Oh, one thing we didn't check out were classes right here, classes and retreats, and they have several. They have individual sewing classes, they have a block of the month program, and they even have some garment sewing classes as well. So that's interesting as well. I imagine those are in-person classes as opposed to online. It doesn't really say, but that's okay because I don't live in the area, so I won't be taking either classes anyways. All right, so for everything that I have said and looked at, I am going to give Dominion Sewing a 7 out of 10. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this episode of the Idiot Quilter. And I guess you might say I'm bagging it up. Haha, bum bum. I'm here all week. Please tip your waitress and try the veal. But anyways, now I threw myself off track. What am I? Oh yeah, reminder. Stephen and Walter Christmas Eve social. Christmas Eve, starting time 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Link is in the show notes. Sew Day on Pop-Up Sew Day on New Year's Day next week. The links will be in the show notes for all of that. Okay, I hope you have a really great Christmas day this year. Enjoy. Don't overdo. Yeah, right. This is coming from me, man of extremes. Yeah. Just enjoy the time because you never know. How many more Christmases do we have? That is a bad note to end this on. Just enjoy Christmas. I'm shutting up now. Goodbye. Merry Christmas.